Hello, everyone.
Hello.
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 Hello. Greetings, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome back to another video podcast with the Disability Union. Today, we're joined by Post Sanity Productions. And we're going to be talking about mental health and disability and the power of telling your story. So I'm Emily, she, her. I'm disabled, I'm chronically ill and a wheelchair user. I have symptoms of anxiety and depression. I work for the Disability Union and today I'm going to be asking the questions, not answering them. So let's start with doing a little tour of this virtual room. I'm going to ask everyone to introduce yourselves with your name, pronouns, any mental health and disability diagnosis you have or symptoms you struggle with, and who you are in relation to the Disability Union or Post Sanity Productions. So starting with George, please.
Okay, I'm George. I'm he, him. I'm the founder of the Disability Union. I have congenital muscular dystrophy, so I've been a lifelong wheelchair user. And I also have pretty much always had anxiety and depression. More anxiety than depression, but yeah, mental health has always been a thing for me.
Thank you, George. And then we'll go to Dan, please.
Hi, I'm Dan, he, him. I work for the Disability Union as comms guy and media guy. I'm also a very proud dad to a wheelchair-using daughter called Emily. I am bipolar, anxiety, and body dysmorphic, and also undiagnosed autistic, which at my age I probably will never get a diagnosis anyway. But yes, mental health is really important to me, and I'm just really, really pleased to be here tonight to be part of this really frank and honest discussion.
Excellent. And Kyle, please.
Hello, everyone. Those were great introductions, by the way, guys. So I'm going to try and beat them. I'm Kyle. I am a co-founder of Post Sanity Productions. Welcome to the Madhouse. With my colleagues Ben and Josh are unavailable right now, so it's just me. But my pronoun is Kyle. It's my name. I am non-binary, but I just use my name as my pronoun, just to confuse everyone even more about the whole non-binary thing. But yeah, I identify as me. I am me, and Kyle is me. And yeah, I'm with Post Sanity. Thank you. I am diagnosed anxiety, depression, ADHD, and borderline personality disorder. What a fun cocktail, if you please. But yeah, I've written a short film called Internum, Daemonium, which is a mental health short film, which Post Sanity Productions are hoping to produce next year. And these wonderful people have allowed me to come and chat and plug it a little bit, whilst we also discuss mental health and really deep dive into the dark world that is mental health, but also shine a light on it to show you that it's not as scary and as lonely as it can be.
Thank you, Kyle.
Exactly. Great word. Great words.
Thank you very much.
Yes. So just to quickly say who the Disability Union are, we support disabled people as individuals with a range of issues. We support our members as a community with our online events and groups and our magazine. And we fight for the rights of all disabled people, when members or not, of course. So, Kyle, can you introduce who Post Sanity Productions are, please?
So Post Sanity Productions is a independent film company created by myself, Josh, and Ben. Josh, I believe, is actually related to Disability Union's very own George Baker.
He is. He's my cousin, is Josh.
Yes, he is. And that's how, that's how we we virtually met. We haven't met physically yet, but I plan to, because you're actually going to be one of our productions, if I do recall.
Yes, hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to plug that a little bit, so then Josh gets on with it.
Good idea.
Josh actually, during the 2019 election?
Yes, that's right.
When George was running for the Labour Party, Winchester.
Yes.
Yes, I always say Colchester. It's Winchester.
Colchester, no, Winchester.
Yeah, so and Josh actually documented the whole campaign with you and helped you with the campaign.
Okay.
And you can find the trailer on our YouTube channel, which the link will be supplied for by Emily at some point.
Oh yes, I'll do that.
Emily, you're on it. I see you working. No, I'm joking. But yeah, so other is a documentation of George's run as an other candidate, which is actually really beautiful and really powerful. So that's in the works, but we're in an independent production company, I want to call it. We don't solely just go on films. We want to like anything viewable, I guess, would be the thing. But yeah, so we're named Post Sanity, ironically because of my craziness, my insanity, if you will. But then also because Josh and Ben both work in post-production, and the amount of post-production that is still on the billing of Post Sanity is kind of where our name was inspired by. And then it just kind of ran from there. Like it just felt like a perfect fit. So yeah, and now we're trying to raise some money to help us in our application for additional short film funding with the BFI to create Internum Daemonium, which is a short film I have written myself and will be directing myself, directing the film myself. Not, I mean, I would star in it because, you know, I am fabulous, but...
Are you going to be in it?
No. Originally I was, but then originally I was going to be, because it's kind of like a mini autobiography, but like fantastical, if you will. But then it's my very first film that I'm directing. I've directed plays before, but film's a little bit more intense and a lot more money is on the line. So Josh was like, maybe take a back seat for the acting. I was like, I hear you, boo. So yeah, so I'm going to take a back seat for the acting on this one. This one, though. This one.
This is one.
You're the sequel.
So looking forward to hearing more about that later. Sorry, Dan. Okay. What we're doing today is we're going to have a relaxed and non-judgmental conversation about our experiences. As a trigger warning, I should let you know we may touch on subjects that are quite dark, but we will not be going in depth with heavier topics. Overall, we're hoping this is going to be an uplifting conversation. So thank you for joining us. We've got, I should say, I can see on our stream we've got 15 viewers at the moment live. And lots of hearts and thumbs ups on Facebook, so that's good. You can leave comments in the chat. I can see them sometimes. I might miss some if I'm concentrating on the answers being given and asking the questions, but I'll do my best to keep an eye on them.
I will also help and now read the comments and help you out, Emily, if there are any that pop up.
Thank you. And Kyle, we're also streaming on Twitch, which I can't directly see their comments, but I think I'm being sent them as well. Yes, I am. So I will try and keep an eye on that. But it's in a different place. So if I get lost, that's fine. There's lots of different things going on. Great. So the first thing I want to talk about a little bit is the fact that disability and mental health overlap a lot. You can become disabled by having poor mental health, and you can get poor mental health from being disabled. So what does anyone have to say about that? Who wants to jump in first?
I can go.
Kyle.
There was one thing, again, plugging other, Josh, get on it. There was one quote in the trailer that George says, and I'm not going to say it verbatim because I won't do it justice, but it's something along the lines of how can you be a part of a world that wasn't made for me, or something along those lines. Do you know what I'm talking about, George? Yeah. That quote, like whatever. I mean, I watched this trailer when it came out like 30 times, and I cried every time at that point because it really just resonated so much with not only me, but will resonate with so many people. And you really kind of do, like, and it just makes you go, wow. that one thing that I'm not physically normal or but fully capable, that I'm going to struggle and be put in this other box. So of course, then if you have a disability, no matter what it is, you're still going to struggle. And that's the thing. Mental health it's a struggle. It's something that we struggle with. That's in here. It's not a physical ailment. It's from what happens within inside your mind.
Absolutely.
And what blows my mind is that it's not talked about more. Because like you have all these different kind of communities, but actually everyone who even has anxiety has a form of mental health. Yeah. And if you took so with anxiety, I always say you have to let it in to let it out. Because normally you're fighting it. You're like, oh, I'm getting really anxious. I'm gonna no. But if you fight it, it makes it worse. So I find when I get that feeling, I go, right. So I'll just take myself away into a quiet corner, cry. Like normally I need to cry. It's normally a big cry. Like I just need to let everything wash over me. Like say, okay, yeah, maybe you failed that one thing. And yes, of course it's going to make you feel like, and then I accept it.
Apologies, let me mute I will mute myself.
Dogs make everything better, can I just say?
I'm so sorry, Kyle. Wait, let me go.
Do not say sorry. Dogs, guys. If you love dogs or cats, I mean, I'm a dog person and I just love them so much, but they will help you. They will brighten your day. Just petting a pet will brighten your day so much. But yeah, so as I was saying, before I was glamorously interrupted by puppies, I accept the fears and worries that I have up here, let it wash over me and allow it to just consume me for that moment. Because then once it's done, I can go, oh, okay, it wasn't that bad. Now the world didn't end. I'm still here. I'm still breathing. Let's get on with it. Let's go. And I think having the whole, the power of telling your story is have us four here right now having this conversation, and we are all in some way within the mental health or disability community. I mean, I'm very lucky to have grown up to a world that was so diverse. Like my uncle, my auntie, and my cousin are all disabled. But to me, I don't see them as disabled. I see them as them. And I've seen the darker side of it, but they always come out smiling. And I'm like, work.
Yeah.
That's how you need to, the hardest thing is being positive, I think.
Definitely. I mean, I think that the cool thing about the idea of the othering is that it's really about living, for me, it's about living obviously mental health is a hidden disability. So I think it's important that we always make sure that we're recognizing that, those two things are on the same playing field, or on the same level, right? They're just as misunderstood as each other. And actually, although my physical disability is fairly profound, I've actually found the othering that I get from the mental health side of my disability is actually a lot harder. It's much, much harder to deal with feeling othered because of something that's inside of you rather than something that is external. I mean, if someone sees me, they know I'm in a wheelchair, they know I'm a bit physically different, so they have to confront that immediately, right? And whilst I might not like their reaction, or I might wish that they behave differently, I can very easily understand that, and it's something that's obviously communicated. But when it comes to, dealing with my anxiety is a lot better managed these days, but, at some stage when I wouldn't want to leave the house, or when I would cancel plans or whatever at the last minute, and people not understanding that, not understanding why that is, it's very hard to communicate that experience to people, because they just don't understand. Do you know what? When I'm well, I don't get it. Don't understand my own behaviour. You know what I mean? I'm like, why would I do that in that situation? But it's really, it's all about education. It's about showing people what our experience of life is like, so that over time we can all understand each other better. I think that's what's so wonderful about, I'm going to say it wrong, what is it, Internum Daemonium? Is that right, Carl?
Yes!
Internum Daemonium.
Right. Internum Daemonium.
Internum Daemonium, right, excellent. So that's what I love about this idea, right, is that it's a real honest look at what it's like to be in your head when you've got mental illness.
Yep. It's
really important. I think it's that sort of conversation, that sort of piece of art. It's not just a piece of art. It's performing a purpose. It's doing something really important in the world, and it's giving people kind of an accessible and approachable way to learn about something they might not otherwise learn about.
Yeah.
You know, because you can watch it. Yeah.
Dan, do you have anything to add about how disability and mental health intersect?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a big correlation between the two, between disability and mental health. I mean, obviously, my daughter has a disability and I have mental health issues, but my mental health was not caused by her disability. My mental health issues are caused with the social model world of disability. They are caused by, unfortunately, the daily prejudices that she receives, not only from the system downwards, but also from the social world outside. And that just attacks your psyche and psyche as a parent. So as you can see, there is a distinct correlation there. But people are always saying, oh, is it because your child's got disability? No, it's not that. My child is fantastically, gloriously wonderful and perfect as she is. That's not the reason for my mental health. The reason, as I said, for mental health is the way she's perceived out there, the way she's perceived by the media and by the government. So that the constant psychological oppression on her and the community. So that's what feeds and drives your mental health down. But the upturn of it is you're always constantly fighting. And in a way, the fight is always a good thing, even though we shouldn't have to fight. But the fight, in a way, always brings you release and catharsis from that mental health. So yeah, indeed, there is a relationship between disability and mental health, but I think it's very multi-layered. It's very different variants of it. I mean, not everyone who's disabled has a mental health issue per se, but the longer we are ignored and stereotyped and put down upon and brushed away, the more that will feed and that more that mental health will grow. So yeah, in my opinion, there is distinct lots of correlation between the pair of them. But society needs to sort its attitude out in order to stop another generation being fed that. Because I just constantly keep my eye on Emily all the time, just to, just to make sure she's not going down that path. But it's really tricky. It's really tricky.
It's so difficult.
I meant to say as well, when you said my daughter Emily, I just wanted to point out it's not me. I don't think we clarified that at the beginning.
I'm probably old enough to be your dad, but yeah, no.
No, I'm not saying you're old enough to be my dad.
In Emily's corner, though, when you said my daughter Emily, I went, they didn't say that was my daughter. But it took me a moment.
I was a young father.
The disability union isn't
risky teenager, you Dan. But I mean, one thing I would like to add with that is I fully agree, and the fight can be tiresome and it can be hard. But one thing I've found is you have to fight the good fight. Like you can, like of course you want to get angry and you want to be like, oh you stop, but that's not going to get you anywhere. And that it happens everywhere. It's happening in the LGBTQ plus community now with, for example, when we've done it, and example and support with it. The non-binary kind of movement that's happening where like there's not just gender as a social construct. But there are people going, you're wrong, how dare you call us there? And it's like, whoa. You have now just shut them down. They're not listening to you, and you've just proved their point. Whereas what we have done has just gone, hi, my name's Kyle. My pronoun is my name. This is Dan, he is he. This is Emily, she is she. Like, that's how you do it. You show examples and you guide people. If you force them, they force back. They don't want to know. But if you I'm not being patronizing to the world, but in regards, like, you spoon feed them the information little by little, adjust things slowly in time, and then they and allow them to kind of find it on their own. But you need to lay their breadcrumbs. Like, come on, Hansel, Gretel, this way. Like, you have to really. Sorry.
No,
so you've led on to the next thing quite naturally, so I just put it straight up on the banner there. I need to say we're not going to be discussing racism, how that intersects with disability and mental health problems, because I don't think any of us are particularly qualified to talk about that. And that we'll make sure to involve the voices that need to be involved when we're talking about that. And we're not going to be able to discuss every thing like poverty and different mental health services worldwide. We're covering as much as we can. So I'll pass on to Kyle. So how does being LGBT plus impact a person's mental health?
The very main thing that I think of, and has kind of transferred into a different area of the LGBT community. So when I was young, me, back in there, being gay, like, you had to fully come out. Like, it was not just this thing of, oh, I can bring my boyfriend home and it's going to be fine. Whereas, like, my brother and sister could bring their partner home and it was fine. It was the fear of, I like someone who's the same sex as me. This is back when I wasn't, before I understood non-binary. But I'm going to bring back, I'm going to bring back a boyfriend, and my family are going to be fine. You didn't have that. And I grew up Roman Catholic. So that's fun. And I felt so, I went to an all-boys school as well, so I felt so alone. And I felt like I couldn't talk about it, because if you did talk about it, you get bullied. Now it seems to be so much more accepting of, a gay child, be it male, female, or non-binary, a queer child, if you will. But now, like, non-binary people and trans people are struggling, because even though there's more visibility for them now, there's still that kind of school ground element of bullying, that I'm different from you and you pick on people who are different, so I'm not going to say anything and I'm going to keep my mouth shut. And I'm going to sit here and allow all of these feelings and these emotions and these thoughts to fester, and it's just going to brew, and it brews over years and years and years. And if I'm being honest, I think my mental health has come from that, not my upbringing from my family or anything like that, but from my upbringing from having to hide a part of me that I didn't want to accept, deny it, so it would save face and save me from getting, like, picked on or, whatever. And then being made to feel like what I am is wrong. Like, I went to a Roman Catholic primary school. I grew up Roman Catholic. They tell you, thou shalt not lie with another man in their rules. And for me, it was like being a very small person, not really knowing the ways of the world, to hear that, but knowing that you are, you have this feeling that you are attracted to that what you should not be, makes you go, oh, I'm wrong then. So then that just starts playing on your brain, and it really, and that's all you feel all the time. And then you're worried about getting, you don't want the limelight on you at school, because you don't want to get bullied, because they might find out, they might know. And that's the same for, trans people and the whole LGBTQ plus community, to be fair, because we are different from the norm. We are not, your heteronormative kind of people, if you will. And you become depressed. And then in turn, it can worsen. And my wonderful, borderline personality disorder really just inflicts on the way I think and the way I look at the world and what I perceive others to think of me. That's what my brain is always going, no, they don't like you because they raised that eyebrow like that at you. And I have to be like, excuse me, lady, can you not now? Can you I don't need this. I ain't got time for that. I'm a busy person. I'm currently on Disability Union having a wonderful like it's one of those like I have to constantly put my brain in check. And then with the ADHD on top of it, so I'm having a million of those thoughts a minute. And that's just me. How about you guys?
Well, it's the similarities from my point of view. Like I said, it's just you're absolutely right, Colin. What you said, society should be laying breadcrumbs. But unfortunately, with the LGBTQ plus community, you're hit with that constant negativity from a media perspective, from the tabloids and stuff like that, about how it's whenever they talk about someone, it's such and such gay, such and such like that, and they're constantly trying to force feed the negative, even though they're putting it as a positive.
That's anything, no, Dan. That's absolutely anything.
I know.
This part,
it just strikes me as in the 21st century where there's still an issue around who people fall in love with. Do you see what I mean? It's almost regressive in a way that people still have an issue that falling in love with someone of the same sex is a problem. Whereas I was always taught that if you love someone, then surely that's enough. Yeah. Really, the day I think society in itself is still hung up. It's still very black and white. It's from the top down. There always seem to be the wrong people pushing the wrong narratives, and you've got fantastic gay, lesbian charities, disability charities trying to say to people that just accept what it is. This is society. These are people. These are human beings who love people who are disabled. It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, I know it's a bit of a hippie narrative, but it shouldn't matter. Yeah. And of course, when it does matter, that's when, Kyle, like you said, that's when it all kicks off. That's when this oppression starts. Well, I've been told I'm wrong. It's like disabled people are told, oh, you're broken, aren't you? Well, am I? All right, okay. And that's where the C's start. This is all completely wrong. Society has really got to grab itself by the scruff of the neck and just drag its heels into the future.
But that's where the world has been gifted people like us. Who are willing to lay those breadcrumbs, who have had the experience. Like, that's why I hate plugging it, George, but I'm doing it because you told me I should.
Plug away.
But that's why I've written Internum, Daemonium, and it's just a way to lay those breadcrumbs and not make it me be like lecturing you for like 5 hours going, listen to me. It's me going, right, sit and watch this film that I have written from myself for you guys. And like there's two people I've written it for, like groups of people. One is people who suffer from mental health, to watch it and go, oh my God, that's how I feel. I'm not alone. Without having to make them go, you need to talk to someone. You need to talk. It's just watch it and go, oh my God, I'm not alone. Maybe I should talk to someone. And then the other group is people who don't have mental health. And like George said, like, it's in here. You can't see it. It's not physical. You can't touch it. It's up in here. So like with my family, I love my family very much and they've been very supportive. I'm very, very lucky. But when I was first getting diagnosed, like my dad asked me, so, when do you stop the medication then? And I was like, I'm not going to. I have it for the rest of my life because it's a chemical imbalance in my brain that. So and he was like, oh, okay. Like he couldn't comprehend that it wasn't something that could be like, he didn't realize it wasn't something that could just be fixed with like, oh, there's a round of antibiotics, off you go. So for me, I was like, how do I make something that allows that group of people who don't experience it see it? And the way I've done that is I've basically taken what I call the inner demon, Internum, Daemonium, the evil voice that's up here telling you you're rubbish and that you shouldn't do this, you're not worthy, all of that. And I've just pulled it out of my brain and made it into a physical demon, so that you can then witness the inner voice stood there behind the character Abdil, going, you worthless piece of bleep word. I'm not going to swear on this to you. And like the nasty, vile, evil things it tells you, and that no one loves you. You're worthless. Where are they now? Like all of these things that my brain goes through on a day-to-day basis. So I was like, right, if people need to see what's in here, there you go. Here it is. That is what this joyful thing is. please now just try and empathize. Like, empathy is the strongest tool we have. But the problem is not everyone can be put into everyone else's shoes. And not everyone is emotionally mature enough to be able to go, oh, I can actually see exactly what it's like from your side of things. And some people are very ignorant. Some people are very sheltered. Some people just have these blinkers on from the day they're born. They're like, it's all about me. And that's fair enough. You do you. That's great. However, there are other people here.
Yeah. I think that's
Yeah.
I think that's just a progressive fear throughout society still, as a fear of the unknown and a dislike of the unlike. Unfortunately, I think there is. And it's just what you're trying to do, Carl, there should be applauded in a way. You're trying to say, look, I'm not trying to force this on you, just watch and stop being so socially illiterate and just watch and open this to parts of your life that you don't know anything about, except that there is difference out there, that there's mental health, there's disability, there's LGBTQ+. So just accept that it's out there. Just accept it, investigate it, learn about it, and you'll find there's nothing to worry about. Nothing's going to hurt you. It's going to damage you. You'll learn. And by learning, you're going to grow as a person. So I think absolutely taking that out and put it into a film is the perfect thing to do, because you can show it to them and it's their choice whether they watch it or not, but you've made that first little dink in their brain to make them probably think, perhaps I'm being a bit negative and a bit stereotypical. Perhaps I should learn a bit more about it. Yes, you should, because you share the planet with us at the end of the day, and we're not going anywhere. You're stuck with us.
I think this is the thing that I love about all this, right? It's bringing it back to the essential truth of well, not to get too philosophical about it, but the essential truth of being human is that all of us are enslaved to something, and none of us are free until we're all free. Yeah. And in general, we're enslaved to our own system of the way that we see the world. We've got blinkers on because of the way that we can only see through our own experience. So, the only way that all of us are eventually going to be free, or freer, is if we all learn about each other. And I think this is why things like Internum and Daemonium are so important, because it may just seem like a short film, but it's not. Right? It's not. It's a little piece of culture, a little piece of education, a little piece of fun, or catharsis for some people, that's going to slowly chip away at that armour, slowly get people to see more and more of our sort of essential humanity, what we have in common, which I think is what is needed in the world more than ever.
I think a lot of people in our Facebook comments especially are agreeing with a lot of what's being said.
Hi guys, just say we haven't forgotten you as well. Hi.
We haven't forgotten you. And I'm going to now try and share the trailer. So let's, you might see all my screen.
Hang on for technical difficulties, guys. Always the fun bit.
Oh, okay. It says... Okay, I think I'm not going to do it because it says use Chrome if you'd like to share audio with your screen. And I am using Firefox, so that's not going to work.
Emily,
the competition bites.
I can do it, Emily.
Have you got a share button?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll pop it in the private chat on StreamYard, if that's okay.
Okay, that's open. Let's see if we can make this work. Share screen. Open this one. Oh, okay. No, maybe we can't do it.
Okay. We'll sort it out for a future.
Carry on chatting while I try and sort this out. What's the next question, Emily?
So I was going to ask, before, how do you use creativity to express yourself and share your mental illness? Let's go to Dan first, and then we'll obviously come to Kyle, and we'll be talking about this more with...
Yeah, cool. Creativity-wise, I do a lot of painting. Me and Emily do a lot of painting together. Emily's quite an explorative painter. She loves abstract and stuff like that, and we do a lot of painting together on the weekend. We create a lot of stuff. I do a lot of writing, hell of a lot of writing. Unfortunately, George allows me to do that, which is probably not a good thing because I tend to get quite a bit political. But
you're a wonderful writer. That's what we want.
Like I said, I've written the comic and illustrated the comic. Got a book coming out next year, which is exciting. But yeah, creativity-wise, it's good. Whatever people sometimes get stymied by saying, "Oh, I'm not very creative. I'm not as good as that." Well, creativity doesn't mean you have to be as good as that. Anything you create, anything anyone creates is a creation. It has come from you. So there's no brilliant, there's no fantastic, there's no rubbish. It's yours. It's creative. If you created it, then it's good enough. It's like if you've written something, it's good enough. That we have to get rid of the league of brilliance that a lot of artists, a lot of critics have and stuff, because it puts people off creating. And if creating helps you release, then it's all the beautiful thing for it. No matter what you paint, no matter what you draw, it doesn't really matter. No matter what you create, if you just edit a little film together, you know what I mean? Creativity is a good way of cathartic release. But it's also enjoyable and it's also so much fun, and it's like a little pressure relief valve. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So people need to stop thinking, "Oh, this is not good enough." No, it is good enough because you created it. And if these hands created it, or whatever your ability is, and you create it, whether you use your mouth or paintbrush, it doesn't really matter. Get creative. Don't assume it's not as good as anyone else's, because it is, because it's yours. There. Lecture over. Over to the man. Over to Clara.
I'm just going to say as well, in the chat, Jennifer says she uses drawing, poetry and photos. In our social Zoom yesterday with members of the Disability Union, we had a lot of creative people sharing how they express themselves, cross-stitch, all sorts. So
expression is good no matter what it is. Just do it, and don't feel obliged to say it's not good enough, because it really is good enough, because it's yours. That's all I'm saying.
Music as well, people are saying music.
Yes. Everyone is giving me so much life in this. Oh, amazing. Everything Dan has you're this way. Everything Dan has said is absolutely spot on. People seem to think, "Oh, like I cannot draw. You give me a pen or a pencil, I cannot draw. Give me a crayon or some chalk and I can shade like nobody's business. Call me a freaking artist, because why? I am an artist." Everyone is in some way. You may not want to get on a stage and become a different character and perform. Doesn't mean, anyone, if you work in a sales role. Hi, my name's Kyle. I'm here and I'm here. "Oh, would you like help, sir, madam?" Is that how you talk to everyone? No, that is a persona you put on. So even though that is work related, you're still putting on a character, your professional character. So you are acting. You may just maybe you write in a diary just to let things out. "Today I had a really rubbish day." You're still creating something. You've created a piece of art there because it's your raw emotions on a page. The next step would be to edit that, basically. If you think that's not good enough, you have to work at it to make it improve or mean something even do you know what I mean? I write poetry. I've written things out and then just thrown it away, not looked at it again. But then I've gone back and looked at it and gone, "Oh, that was actually really good. Maybe if I just changed it." That's how you improve. You learn from it by doing it. So I'm an actor. I act a lot. Used to a lot. More so theatre based. Then I met Josh and Ben 7-8 years ago. Did a short film called Tash, where I had a moustache. And then from there, Josh then wanted me on his film Eden, and I know he can hear me, so I'm just going to say this just for giggles. Where's Eden, Ben? We filmed it 6 years ago. Has it been finished, Josh?
Give me a nod or a shake, Josh.
It's definitely not finished it.
It's just giving us eyes.
It's a great film, by the way.
Yep. Is that Joe? The thing is, I read the script and I literally went, I have no idea what any of this means, but I know it's good. And this is like that's the thing that annoys me is people who do not finish their work, Joshua.
Yeah, Josh.
But that's one thing. Like, so they've really pulled me into the film world. Like, I did a drama and film degree, and like I love film, and it's always kind of to like appreciate it as an art form and like all of the knowledge. But now Josh kind of went, write it. Like that's one of the things. I was like, I have this film idea. He was like, write it. And there's me being like, oh, but maybe like, he's like, just write it. I can't help you until you have something. So write it. And I was like, okay. So I've written a feature-length film. Was meant to be a 20-minute short. It's a feature-length. And then I went through my diagnosis and Catholicism, write about what you're going through. And the idea of this like personifying the demon voice stuck with me. And then I remember I was sat on a really long bus journey once, and I had my little book with me, and I just started writing. I wrote the whole, like the narrative, not so much like the full script form, like the actual script that I have now, but like everything that was happening in the film in a half an hour, because I just went, I need to get it out. And from that, I had the fact like the very, very rough and patchy foundations of what is now. And I will blow my trumpet because I worked hard on it, is a really good quality script. And like I've given it to like my best friends every draft, and they're like, Kyle, it gets me every time. And I'm like, if I'm making someone cry because they can understand what it's like to be in my head from just reading it, then this is something special, and this is why I'm wanting to share it with the world. But yeah, so it's like I'm expressing myself, and for me, it's kind of like it's started the healing process. From being diagnosed with ADHD and BPD, more so, they're the very prominent ones. I go through, spats of anxiety and spats of depression, but it's those two that like are really kicking my butt. Sorry, and the way that I've found my way through that is writing and then planning to direct it. I mean, so me and my friend Tash, I can't draw. This girl could take a pencil and make like a squiggle line look like freaking gloriousness. But basically, she actually helped us design the logo for Post Sanity because it was before she went to university, and I was like, so I've got this new company, Post Sanity, and I've got this idea in my head, but you're an artist, you can draw and stuff. Would you? And so she was like, okay, yeah, give me ideas. And then so from my ideas, she created the logo. I don't have that on me, but we did 3 attempts at the Internum Daemonium poster. This isn't the final one, but this is one of the 3 that she finished. And I'm sorry, but
beautiful. Emotive,
right? Yeah. Sorry, like I can talk about art and all the time. I remember the moments, like clear as day, of when the concept of Internum Daemonium came into my brain. I'm flicking through social media, and there was a video of Lady Gaga talking about how there's only one thing in the entire world that is free and will not harm anyone, and that's kindness. And then scroll a little bit further down the news feed, and there's Miss Havisham cups, where you have a cup of tea, and when you drink it, it reveals a message: kindly choke and fuck off. It really played and hit home with me about my own inner demon, my own Belial. And in that moment, I had this personify the demon. Give that evil, that thing that's sitting there waiting and learning and really like knows you inside and out to go and hit you so hard that it knocks you for 6, which is what my glorious brain does to me every single day. Hello everyone, my name is Kyle. I am a co-founder and co-director of Post Sanity, and I am the writer and director of the short film Internum Daemonium. It explores the personification of the inner demon voice that people who suffer from mental illness have. Kind of like the inner monologue, but it's the one that is negative, that bullies you and pushes you down. Post Sanity have been extremely lucky with support for this campaign. I myself have been extremely humbled, awed, and ecstatic that a mental health charity, Hear Us, which is based in Croydon, have agreed to support us and help us raise mental health awareness within our campaign, but also to help us raise the fundings that we need for Internum Daemonium. They are a fantastic charity who really do provide the voice for people who can't find their voice with mental health. Payment in kind, people, let's give them some love, let's get their name out there too, so that they can really just have an even bigger platform to be able to support even more people. So please show them some love. To say thank you for your donations, we've really honed in on creating a unique experience for you guys to say thank you from us. The ways we've done this is through the perks. We're being very carbon conscious of every step of the way, so we're making sure we are upcycling and not buying new to ensure that our carbon footprint is not affecting the world, and also giving you a unique experience by having an upcycled shirt with a unique print attached just for you guys. We've got original pieces of artwork, digital form or physical form. We have got a wonderful group of volunteers who have been donating their own unique pieces of art to provide to you beautiful people should you donate. For a full list of all the perks, please go to the Indiegogo page for us. They will be there for you to peruse and choose. For the campaign here on Indiegogo, we are aiming for raising £5,000. We will then be going to the BFI short film funding and applying for the rest there to make this glorious film. So please, please, please donate if you can and share the campaign. That makes all the difference. So we can say thank you guys. Because we won't be able to make this film without you, and we want to make sure you feel you're a part of this, which you are.
So tell us anything more about it then, Kyle.
Okay. Is this my big plug moment?
This is the big plug moment.
This
See how big
No spoilers.
I've made.
No spoilers. Well, so basically, the end goes like this. No, I'm joking. So I'm going to do the whole spiel. So, Post Sanity is my short film company, independent company, production company with Josh and Ben. We are currently trying to raise £5,000 to go towards the budget of the film, and then we're going to be applying to the BFI short film funding to raise the additional money that we need for creating Internum Daemonium. What is Internum Daemonium, I hear you say? Well, I'll tell you. It's a short film that has that is based around my experience from my mental health. It involves 3 characters: Abdil, Belial, and Dr. Raphael. And we kind of follow Abdil's journey after he's been diagnosed and he goes to therapy for the very first time. And the doctor kind of forces him to face his demon. And ellipses, I won't spoil the rest. But we're, so it is a short film. It's runtime's around 15 minutes, but for that we need a lot of money, unfortunately. If I could, I would do it cheaply, but Josh is like, Kyle, we're a professional company. We need to do it professionally. I'm like, okay, fine. So what, we need like $1,000? He's like, no, Kyle, think bigger. I'm like, okay, what, like $5,000? He's like, no, think bigger. Let me just, and then I remember I get a phone call from Josh and Ben, like, we need to have a talk. And I was like, okay. Like, we need to raise quite a bit of money, so we're going to have to do some self-funding. I was like, oh, okay. So here I am, a humble, brand spanking new writer and director. Please help us make a film. So we have set up an Indiegogo fan page, which we have created some perks for everyone who donates. On different levels, you can donate as little or as large as you like. We appreciate everyone who donates. And if not, there is the link. Thank you, Emily. If you could share that around, that would be amazing. Just to kind of get it out there. Thank you, Dan. I mean, personally, if you feel like treating yourself, and I think this was a really great idea that came from all 3 of us. we're very carbon conscious going into filmmaking, and we actually did training with Albert, which is part of BAFTA, about making what's the word? Carbon conscious. I can't remember the other word. There's another word, and Josh was just scribbling at me. Sorry, Josh. But so what we've done is we're upcycling t-shirts. So we're buying really good quality shirts from charity shops. And we've got a really unique design of the logo, and then also the Internum Daemonium picture, which is like a brain with a claw.
Josh says net zero.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one.
Thanks, Josh. Thank you, Emily. So yes, net zero. So we're purchasing loads of these secondhand upcycled shirts, attaching the logos on, as well as them giving you like a unique art piece created by volunteers who have been drawing paintings and creating little pieces. Even I'm going to handwrite some of my poetry that I've written for the campaign, and put it really nice and like gift that to everyone who donates. You also get a digital copy of Internum Daemonium when it's done. You'll also get a digital copy of the documentary, The Mind Internum, which will be behind the scenes making of, but also kind of going on a real deep dive into my mental health journey and like the darker sides that you don't want to talk about normally. That is going to be like it's kind of like a two-parter that really looks more so at me and very much this about creativity and how I clawed my way back from the dark. Like I saw that stream of light and I was like, we ain't done yet, let's go. So, and I'm still doing it, I'm still going. But yeah, so loads of different perks that you can get for us to say thank you and for you to feel like you're a part of the film, which you are. There's one thing I remember when I directed my first play. One of the cast would always say, "Oh, but it's your play, it's your," and I would turn around and, "Oh, no, hold up. I may be directing the play, but it's our play." So even if you dated one penny, it's your film because it's our film. So if you can donate, thank you so much. It means the absolute world.
Well, we'll spread it all around all of us on our social medias.
We will. We'll put it around.
Thank you.
But for me, this is literally no-brainer. If it's going to help push a narrative on mental health and how to deal with it, then it's just got to be made at the end of the day. So yeah, let's just get it done. Let's get it done.
I think this is,
thank you.
This is why these things are so important, because it is about changing that narrative. And I know Josh is my cousin, right? Kyle's an awesome guy, but these guys are really talented. Right, and they're doing something that's really hard to do, which is, especially Kyle, who's putting his whole insides on display, effectively, for everybody to see. The whole inside of his psyche, the bits of it that people don't even want to look at themselves, putting it there for the world to see, because it will help other people. And it's really important that art like this gets made, which is why I wanted to have Kyle on the podcast, because I just want as many people as possible to donate. Spread it around and let's get this thing made, because it needs to happen. It's really important.
It's great. Josh has just reminded us as well that throughout fundraising, you're also making a series of films about mental health on the YouTube channel, from ADHD to eating disorders and charity work, all sorts.
I've watched some of those. They're really good.
I watched almost all of the ADHD ones today.
Yeah,
I got distracted towards the end.
On brand. Yeah, I mean, right. I will have to hands up so much to Josh and Ben for that one. I mean, I'm like the subject, and then they're like capturing it and editing it. That I have to do a shout out to Josh and Ben. Like I'm not going to say the L word. I used to love them, but now I only adore them because they never tell me they love me. So until they say it, they've never said it to me. They refuse to say it to me. So I'm now making a stand. So I adore them very much. And I know Josh is most probably kicking his head off now, but still. But we did the trailer for the campaign, which has been posted, and then we did like me getting diagnosed, which was hard because I've never really talked about it outside of my inner circle. But I was like, you're going to have to get used to it, Kyle, if you're going to be making a film about your mental health. And then my amazing friend Tolu had, like, in the past year, she kind of described her struggles with, like, her mental health and thing. And I was kind of like, you're giving me, you're saying you're struggling with concentration, that you're like, you feel like you're not completing stuff. Honey, you've got ADHD. Like, it wasn't even like it may be. No, you have ADHD. And so she started the process for kind of getting a diagnosis, and it's pretty much like all signs point to yes. And that's why we thought, and she was so warm to agree. She was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about it. I was like, all I'm going to say is we're having a conversation between you and me about what you're going through and what I've gone through. And that in itself, to then have online, maybe there's going to be, you know, a kid who grows up and then doesn't get diagnosed, and they're like ADHD, and then they find us having a wonderful, lovely time talking about something that can cause a lot of harm. Because, like, we sit there and, you know, the struggle is real, but the one thing that we want to do is, like, shine a light and go, it's not all bad. Like, if you communicate, like, communication is key. The power of telling your story. Tell it to someone who, even if that someone doesn't really want to listen, they're half listening, they will listen when it matters, and they will be there for you. And just letting out, like, let it out. Find someone, talk to someone, close friend, therapist, anyone. It all, if you keep it in, it makes it worse. You have to let it out. So those videos, like, they're raw, they're powerful, they're beautiful, but they serve a purpose. And, like, this campaign has kind of been like a mammoth of a task for me. Like, the build-up of the mammoth of the task was Josh. Josh was like, I got so much. He's still doing so much, but it's kind of been handed over to me to do, like, the daily posts and whatnot. And it's been hitting me hard with my mental health, because it's like I'm confronting something that I kind of didn't want to do, but confronting something that I wasn't too keen on doing. There we go. On the daily anyways. But all I've realized is opportunities like this happen. I get to meet and talk with amazing people who are going through similar things that I've gone through, who face struggles daily like I face struggles daily with, and we get to talk about it and shine light on it and go, hey world, this thing that I struggle with that you can't see, it may be there, but I'm not letting it win. Why should you?
Exactly. Good words. Good words. Words win wars, like that. Good one.
They do.
Yeah.
So there's lots of good things that can come from increasing awareness of mental health problems and issues. I think one of the things is we can hopefully change attitudes and improve mental health services. Is there anything else that we can be doing to, apart from producing wonderful films, how can we...
I think we need to get an acceptance from those who could help, because at the minute there's still a hesitancy from those. I know I keep going back to politics and media, but they are the two biggest influences on everyone's life daily. So they are there to be taken apart if need be, but they do need to appreciate what is going on. I mean, you have terrible people like Piers Morgan with a massive Twitter following who constantly belittles anyone with mental health. And of course, when you have 7.1 million followers, a lot of them, unfortunately, who agree with him, then that doesn't help. You see what I mean? We need to have power taken away from people like that.
I'm going to go on a limb here. I'm going to say Piers Morgan almost certainly probably has horrible mental health issues. I imagine he's a very unhappy man.
Completely!
And I think it's important that we don't demonize him too much, because if he behaves like that, he's probably struggling.
Yeah. Himself. No, using him as an example because of his following. People like that are in a position where they have to be careful what they say.
Absolutely.
Here is an example using Piers Morgan. So Piers Morgan, I believe, publicly attacked someone for not being a war veteran, but having been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yes.
Well, Lady Gaga was diagnosed with PTSD. And when he stated that, I believe publicly on Twitter, she then tweeted back at him and said, this is not verbatim, but along the lines of, you have no idea what's going on inside someone's brain. I suffer from it. And he was like, and then he kind of like backlash. And she literally went, I will happily sit down with you, Piers Morgan, and talk about it if you're willing. Has there been an interview with them? No. So the example there is the fact that Piers Morgan, big man boots that he has, was frightened to interview Lady Gaga, who was going to basically just, and we all know how it would go. Lady Gaga, who has poise and is demure, spreading the breadcrumbs, not challenging, not facing, is going, listen to me, I want to talk to you. And then you got Piers Morgan going, like that's literally, that is the perfect example of what it is. Mental health, you're sat there, you're like, okay, how do I, okay, right. And then you've got the person who's like, nah.
Yeah.
Piers Morgan, if you believed it so much, you would have interviewed Lady Gaga, but you haven't done it.
Exactly, but we have to stop trying to justify it. I mean, we are what we are. We shouldn't have to justify.
No, we don't. Yeah,
people like that in positions of power, they're surely there because they're seen as intelligent and quite.
They're produced
decent people.
To be intelligent.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so you would have thought in that respect that they're just making themselves look rather crass and idiotic by going out with these prejudiced and tired views. I mean, I know people that he's a media type and they're bred on conflict. You know what I mean? I think conflict is but where it has to. This is where it has to go. There's things like that. Those attitudes like that have to die, unfortunately.
I think that the truth of it is that people like Piers Morgan he is a product of his time and place and his generation and his chosen career. He's part of a system. So Piers Morgan is a product of a system that needs changing.
Yes.
So moving on from Piers Morgan, though.
Well played, Ellie. Well played.
Well, in the chat, I've seen Laura Marie says she thinks there should be a mental health first aider in every workplace.
Sorry to include. Agreed, Laura Marie. I think mental health first aid should be a statutory. Is that the right word? It should be mandatory statutory. Training for every single manager, and I mean every single manager, whether you're a supervisor through to a general manager or a CEO. Every single manager should be trained with mental health first aid. If not, everyone in your corporation should, regardless if you have it or no. Or the option should be there. Like how first you have to have a first aider on every shift if in any work. It should be the same with mental health first aid because
it's really good as well. Mental health first aid training makes an enormous difference to people. It's really practical. It's really useful. It's another example of just laying those breadcrumbs. It's a practical step which will keep people safe. It makes sense for businesses as well. I don't understand why it's not already done. It's ridiculous.
Another suggestion from the chat. Heidi says there should be emotional well-being classes in schools.
Yes, Heidi.
Yes.
Heidi, yes.
There's some real brilliant comments coming through, and all of them should be taken up. All of them should be taken up. There should be a mental health specialist in every workplace, and they should all be trained. They should all be trained on an access point of view as well, on a disability point of view. I can't believe we're in 2021 or whatever, and this still isn't happening. This isn't the thing when there's all this information and all the stories and all these individuals going through us, and it's still not happening in the workplace. Whereas the one, if they're that desperate for people still to come to work, then you would have thought, we'll invest in some good open access and mental health training to make sure our staff are well looked after.
I can't remember her name. Was it Heidi who mentioned about emotional well-being classes? Yeah. So I think emotional well-being for children, that's so important, right? And education in general, that's where you really make changes on these things. Actually, I would be prepared to compromise on the next 10 years of improvements in accessibility if all the money and investment of time and energy was instead spent on children.
Oh my God.
And improving things for them. Because then it wouldn't be a problem in the future, would it? It'd be over with. It'd be done. And investing in children's mental health.
The only problem we have there is that, yes, you can have the classes at school, that's great. But as soon as they go home, you then have mum and dad or whoever, like the parental figure, if you will, is in charge. And it's their beliefs that are then enforced at home. So it's not like the child could have that class and go, well, mummy, I think what you said is very not right. And you should be more, like, it's not going to happen unless the parents take part in it. But they're not going to, because really busy, mental health themselves, like everything else.
Yeah.
Like, I can only imagine what it's like to be a parent. It must be petrifying at all hours. But it's great that that is a great suggestion, Heidi, and I'm all for it. However, for the future, will that happen? Because they're still going to be under.
We don't know.
I think you can only.
That generation grows up, another generation starts saturating, and that generation grows up. So it could be a slow process, but it could be something worth very much looking into.
Do you know what? I think this is a really important point, because it's small changes now, whatever they are. You know, for the parents, it'll be education through media or films, whatever, right? For the children, it'll be schools. Small breadcrumbs, right? Over generations, these changes don't happen in a short period of time.
Very true.
You know, disability rights, the first movement was really, the first big movement was from the 70s to the 90s. It was 20 years before anything important happened. Like, it's a long period of time to get people out of institutions into the community, get them started with concepts like independent living, the social model of disability appears. It's the same for LGBT liberation, right? All those things. Same for the civil rights movement. These things, they all take time.
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, it's all laying these little foundations over dozens and dozens of years is what makes the difference.
Exactly. The wheels of change doth move slowly, unfortunately.
They do. They do.
Fix those at the top, then you'll find it.
Sorry. Matthew says, if there's going to be any change, then required diversity employment is the only way forward.
Yeah.
Very good.
Positive action. Yeah. Absolutely agree with that. Absolutely agree with that. Yeah. I had a very interesting discussion with an older friend of mine who they're a high up manager in a pharmaceutical company, and he was getting irritated about having diversity quotas for female people on the board. And he was saying about how unfair it was, how unnecessary it was, and that, you know, you should have the best person at the top. And then I said, okay, so how many women are on your board then? And he goes, oh, there's like 10 of us, there's like one woman. And I was like, well, do you not think that maybe that should change? That's not representative. And he was like, well, yeah, but you know, it's like, well, so how do you get them on the board then? And he said, oh, well, you just have to make sure that women are the best, aren't they? And I'm like, yeah, but do you not think maybe there are women now that should be promoted?
How do you not know there is a woman out there right now who's better than you?
And then he lists to me 3 different women in his team that he said, oh, yeah, they'd be great. And I'm like, well, why haven't they been promoted then? And he's like, oh, maybe. And he was like, oh, I just get pissed off because I want to get promoted. Do you know what I mean?
Did you speak to him in the past? Was he in another decade when you spoke to him? Was he in the 60s? George's time phone. Hello, is that
1975? No.
Okay, so we've covered lots of things that we can be campaigning on and talking about. And I want to finish this stream podcast with what advice would you give to someone who's struggling right now? What can we be doing?
Tell your story. Tell your story. Find somebody safe to tell your story to.
Speak to someone. Speak to anyone. Like Kyle said, could be a family member, could be a friend. Even if they're not listening, speak to them. Tell them exactly how you're feeling. Use your emotion if you have to. Just tell them how you're feeling, because as I said, words win wars, and taking the lid off a shaken bottle of Coca-Cola will release everything. Keep it inside that bottle, and that bottle will break eventually. So just open up and talk to them. Sometimes it might not be easy. If it's not easy to talk, write it down. Pass a letter. Just ask. Just ask.
And a lot of people in our members Zoom yesterday was saying, I find it really hard to reach out to people, or like Heidi in the chat saying, I don't have anyone to speak to.
Heidi, you have us. We're here right now.
You have us, Heidi.
Search us out online. Search us out.
I think this is Heidi is a member. She's I recognize her name. So yes, we are help. There are charities that help, and there's the Disability Union that try to help.
There's one thing for advice from me, from my experience. If you're afraid of talking to a family member or someone close to you, go to your GP. Yes. They can give you so much advice. They can refer you to a mental health service. There's more, and I mean, so many mental health services out there, like Psychiatry UK, Mind. You can approach them, and you can do it anonymously. If you don't feel comfortable with your name, it's anonymous. You just let it out. Just let it out. That's my one thing. Let it out. If you can't talk about it, and I'm not saying let it out, inflict harm. I say let it out by release, like how Dan said, the Coke, like the bottle of Coke. Take that lid off and allow the air, let it out. Yeah. If you hold it in, it will just get worse. And then from that one little small step, you can then find it easier to maybe take that slightly bigger step and tell someone you're close to. And the moment, and I tell you this, everyone, the moment you talk to someone who you love and they love you back, no matter what, friend, mum, son, daughter, whoever, you will feel the a rush of just relief.
Yeah. You can actually feel it. I remember actually feeling it here. I remember feeling it almost like it's a strange thing to say, but it was an actual physical feeling of utter relief. And even if you're not able to talk, like I said, even if your anxiety is that bad you cannot talk, just write it down or just type it, say it. Doesn't matter how it comes out. If it's angry or sweary or anything like that, just set it out. There's no parameters to release. There's no parameters. Just be open.
The only one I would say is just be mindful of who you're offloading to. If it's, if it's a service like the Samaritans that someone's suggesting in the chat, they're there for that, for that use. But
good point, Emily.
But if you're offloading to a friend who wasn't ready for it, that can impact their mental health.
I would definitely say using the phrase trigger warning, even if just say, right, trigger warning, it just allows friend, family, whoever to prepare themselves. And if they say, I'm not ready, don't get angry. They're just not ready. They're not sturdy. They're not stable. So yes, mindfulness, great one, Emily. So I would just say, use the phrase trigger warning. Can I talk to you something that may be upsetting? Yes. Just say that. And then that little, it means you haven't dedicated to what you're saying. It doesn't mean that you're like, I'm going to tell this person right now, because then maybe you go, oh wait, I'm not ready. But you've at least said it, so then that person can then be aware. Oh, something's happening. I need to be ready. Cool. Thank you for letting me know. And people who have the trigger warning said to, just say, I'm not ready right now, but I'll be ready. Just give me some time. Just communicate and support one another. Support. We are social beings. We socialize, and the way we communicate is sociable. We need to remember that to survive, and that's why the past has been hell for a lot of people. So
the other service Laura Marie's reminding me of as well is the Blurt Foundation, which I know the Disability Union has been sharing a lot of links to them this week.
Oh yeah, that's
we've been talking about mental health. So they're good. They've got all sorts of resources. That's great. And I'll just say as well, if you're not wanting to talk to people, you can help yourself with the self-care sort of things we were talking about earlier, and expressing your creativity in whichever way.
Skincare.
Yeah, absolutely. Paint your nails.
A bath.
Yeah. Buy some really expensive bath stuff, or just some nice bath stuff. That does That.
Or get a really
Yeah.
nice smelling candle and
Yes.
sit and relax with a flickering light. Just turn the lights off and just relax. Listen to some meditation, yoga, like just breathe. Breathing
Yoga
is a great way
especially.
to self-care.
Yeah.
Yoga, you're coming for my
Oh,
life.
I like Tai Chi more
Love
than
it.
yoga myself.
Oh,
Or chocolate. Eat chocolate. If you want to eat chocolate, eat chocolate.
Chocolate's good.
don't binge too much.
And-
Health problems, Dan. Health problems. Sugar.
I'm going to share Matthew's comment from earlier. Yes, do what you can, when you can, with what you have. That's
Perfect.
very wise wisdom to
That needs to
remember.
be a t-shirt. That needs to be a t-shirt. That's
That
perfect.
Yeah, it does need to be on a t-shirt.
Should we do that? Should we make that happen?
Yeah.
Sell it in the Disability Union shop?
And they do it. Make that thing. Make it happen. Make it happen. I'll show you. I'll show you how to make it happen.
Thank you. I don't know how to do that yet. Great. Thank you very much, everyone. I think that's going to be us. Unless there's any more final words of wisdom, apart from...
One more
Yes,
plug.
Kyle?
Should I do one more plug?
Oh, yes, let's do one more plug.
Plug it.
Well, my words of wisdom are, you're a human person. Remember that. You're a human. You're not a robot. You're not a machine. You're a human. We are all human. We are all people. You're a human person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're all stuck in this rather strange odd-shaped ball together. We're not going anywhere. We're always stuck with each other. So it probably makes more sense to learn about each other at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
if not, if you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say it.
Don't say it.
Say anything. And this is why everybody needs to check out Internum Daemonium.
Yes.
Yes.
Post the link again.
I just shared the Indiegogo link again, so people can donate there.
A share, small amount of money, whatever you can afford, makes an enormous difference.
It really
But
does.
really bringing these stories out to people who need to hear them. And just allowing people to express themselves. It's really important. So please,
Thank you.
anything you need help.
Now, thank you, Emily, for tech.
Yeah!
Emily!
My first time.
Wherever he is.
Sorry about the screen sharing. That would have been cool to have.
Josh in the ether as well.
Josh.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Josh.
Oh, interpretive dance. That could be a way you could express something.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
There
Dance
we
is
go.
great.
Dance is great.
Brilliant.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much,
Thanks,
guys.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.